created to reign. What does that mean? You are royalty. You were created to win. There's a definition that says to wear a crown.
From your beginning to your end, you were created to reign. It's time to own your royalty, 'cause you are the essence of queen. Oh, that's to me now. If I want it, I'm gon' get it. I make it rain, I make it rain. If I want it, I'm gon' get it. I make it rain, oh, I make it rain.
I was created to reign. Here's what happened. Now, when she shines, I don't have to fool with it. I don't have to worry about it. I can celebrate with her because I was created to reign. She was created to reign. We can rock together. We can rock our royalty together. I know who I am.
If I want it, I'm gon' get it. I make it rain, I make it rain.
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
I know I almost broke the phone.
I make it rain, make it rain.
I'm so excited.
See, but that's when you know you've made it. You know you've made it in life when you can break a phone and you don't stress out.
It's all right. Ow! Oh yes, we are here. We are here for another. Oh my gosh, another episode of Standing in the Rain. Yes. Yay! Clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea what you're in for today. I'm so glad. I'm so loved that y'all continue to vibe with me. So Standing in the Rain is my effort, one of my many efforts to point you to your greatness, to help you rock your royalty. So what does rain mean? Hopefully you've been vibing with me long enough, you know, but just for all my new people, standing in the rain. Rain means to overcome, to dominate, to superabound, to ascend, to win, to sway, to have influence, the essence of win, to wear a crown, which is, say it with me, my favorite. You are royalty. I promise you. If you don't know it, stick with me. Subscribe, follow me. Just keep vibing with me. I promise you, it is my mission in life to make sure that we unlock all that greatness, all that stuff that's on the inside. But today,
All of it.
Unlock
all of it.
Today, y'all don't even know. I normally say this is a Standing in the Rain is a family show, so I need to say it up front. Standing in the Rain is a family show, but I may have to.
It is a family show.
It's a family show.
It's just with a twist to drink champs.
It's a family show. I love it. I need to introduce my guests to you today. I got to do it right, though. Hold on. I'm going to make sure I do it right because it deserves, we vibed. Every superhero needs to have their own superhero music. Believe me. Yes, you do. Let me see if we can do this right. Yes, you do. Hold on. Before I even introduce him, here we go. Let me see if I get this right.
It's the Kool-Aid theme song.
It's not. Let me see.
It's the Kool-Aid theme song.
I don't know. It's not playing.
If I don't hear, oh yeah, it's bust to the walls and it's.
Hold on. We're going to try this again. See, that's all right. Watch this.
Oh, no.
What? What? Scooty, you said this was a family show.
Work it, 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 work it,
Family.
work it, work it, work it, work it, work it, work it.
Oh,
You see? I'm trying to keep it clean.
I keep it clean. I got this. I got hold of this. It got in me.
Keep it clean.
It got in me. It got down in my crawl's face. It got in my crawl's face. I want to say.
Oh,
Yes.
You didn't watch that video.
I did.
Oh,
God.
God.
Y'all got to go.
Oh,
so let me
God.
tell you who you got. So let me tell you who I am. So I am Dawn Roseman, the Rainmaker. Come on. I'm so excited. I love my rain dancers. But today, and you'll know how much I love you today, I've brought... I have with me, and I said this earlier in another episode, this is I've learned a new word, it's a self-interested endeavors. I like vibing with excellence. I like hanging around people who are excellent. I like hanging around. I am drawn to just want to surround myself by people who are transformative. And my guest today is just one of he's just premier at that, man. He just my gosh. So I need to introduce you to. I'm gonna try real hard. Because when you're gonna wonder when you watch this, you'll be like, who's she talking about?
You making it sound like you about to introduce somebody like dope.
I am.
No,
dope.
man, like
you.
We are
Right. We are as dope as anybody that we think about.
We dope in training.
No, we not. I don't know what he's talking about. We're gonna fix all that. Stand it. So this I mean, this is also therapy. But here's the deal. I have with me, I've known him forever, but not, and because there's just so many facets of him, and they're all fascinating and wonderful to me. And I want you to know him. I'm gonna work real hard not to call him by his government name.
Yeah.
He's an artist.
Yeah.
So I got to work on that, but it may slip out. But I want to introduce you to the incomparable DJ E-Clyps. Oh my gosh. There's sounds.
Oh, I can get applause.
Come on, come on.
Oh,
you don't understand. I mean,
me take a ship.
So that song that I told you got down my crawl space, that's one of his new joints. That's his new hotness. It's
I just can't believe you
amazing.
watched that video. Like,
I love that video. I love that video.
No, I won't even get into it.
I'm gonna do a reel to that video at some point. I'm gonna do something.
Please.
I'm gonna do it. I just learned reels today, so I just putting stuff out randomly. I'm sorry.
Well, y'all just figured out how to do reels. Let me know.
Well, I didn't figure it out. I just keep putting videos out. But at any rate, y'all need to understand. Clips is amazing. He's an artist, one of the most prolific lyricists I've ever heard. He's a writer. He's a lyricist. He's a producer. Award-winning producer. He's a photographer. My gosh, we'll get into that. But the work that he does, the things that you do, are transformative. You have become a voice of our generation, and I'm not even in your generation, but it's our generation as the human generation. You are the voice of now. And I really, really appreciate that his work has been picked up. We're going to talk about all that just all over the world. People are recognizing, just all that gooey greatness that's on the inside of him. And I just want to bring it out today and talk to you about it. We center around, we center around a raindrop or a drop of the day every time I have a guest.
Okay.
And I try to think about who I'm having and get in there and, just learn and kind of capture that so I can make sure that we kind of vibe around that as we talk to them and just connect. And so the drop for the day, as I was thinking about you and what I know about you and all the things I've learned and all those things like that, the drop for the day for y'all that I want you to get completely locked into your psyche is not for sale.
I like
not
that.
For sale.
I can roll with that.
This, my goodness, everything that when I thought about that, I was like, that is Clips all day long, not for sale. And I love that. It is something that I think when I say to you, rain, what does rain look like? You're going to need to adopt this mindset. I'm not for sale. We're going to talk about what that means, but let's jump into it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying yes.
Yes, of course I would. Like, I was like, why would you think that I would give you any other answer than yeah?
No, man, I told you, when I don't take the greatness of the people around me lightly. And just because we have a good relationship or we've known each other, to me, it's disrespectful to simply assume that, that's the way so I'm honored.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here honored.
But at the same time, it's like, it's a mutual level of respect because like you've always just been one of the dopest, most genuine people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like anytime somebody that's authentic and genuine and just dope asks you to do something, it's just like, are you really asking me
I
this?
appreciate that.
He's like,
Yeah.
You really thought I was going to be like, let me think about it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
No.
if you would have said that, I'd be like, Clip's
No,
thinking about it.
I wouldn't.
And then, but I would have been like, I know he better.
Yeah. I know your mama.
Yeah. But I'm just honored. I really, really am because I respect you. So I'll say this. I say this to other people. I'm a fan. And I said, and the people in my circle, I've said this to them, and I want to make sure I say it to you. I'm a fan of you, and then your art is just icing on the cake. I love that.
I just always, that word always just got to me.
What?
Fans.
Fan?
Because I always look at people as like family. You know what I mean? Like people that support my music or support my art. I never like that whole like artist fan relationship to me.
Yeah, I get
it.
it.
It was just like, so I would never, like look at it as like, oh, well, yeah, my fans. I'm like, nah, I'm like, those are.
We fam.
Yeah, we fam.
Yeah.
Like, because without you, there's no me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like to disassociate.
I get that.
And act like somebody's not on your level because you've done something is like, to me, is the part that's crazy.
But I think about it like this, and I appreciate perspectives. That's why I love this podcast, because I learn from y'all. I learn from my guests as much as I hope you learn, and we all leave higher, better than when we found each other.
Right.
But when I think about that word, the reason why I say it like that is because so many people approach you. Not just you, but just approach a person a lot of times, and they become enamored with their stuff.
Yeah.
I saw you pull out that Bentley, or I see you rocking that diamond, or I see your title, or whatever it is that people say, and so they're in love with a thing that's actually fleeting. And I want to make sure that when I'm saying that to you, I understand the word means fanatic, and certainly in the world that you have been in, the music industry and all these sorts of things, fan takes on a whole nother kind of crazy word. But I want you to understand from my heart, what I'm saying is, I don't care if tomorrow ain't nobody checking for your music, and don't nobody buy your pictures no more. Scooty Wop, it's still going. Scooty Whoop, excuse me, it's gonna get down in there. All that. If ain't nobody checking for any of those things,
right,
I still ride with you.
I appreciate it.
You see what I'm saying? I'm separating all that faux stuff out of it. So it's just my word phrasing, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, and it's sad because like you see a lot of people that, especially in the music industry, like they're enamored with people and don't know that everything that you're aspiring to be probably doesn't even really exist. Huh. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just because you see that Bentley or you see this outrageous, condo and all this other stuff, and it's like you don't know what's behind
nothing.
Door number 2.
Nothing about it.
You know, and it's like, and that was a moment for me, like when I really got into the industry, and then I lived in Atlanta for a while. 'Cause I did a lot of music work down there, and I remember artists that I was like geeked to meet, and then when you sat down with them and they really started breaking stuff down to you, and it was just like, so we both broke. You know what I mean?
It's like, wait a minute, that video you did when you did that, like I think about Tupac. I mean, I was such a fan. I'm a 90s kid. I think about when he got out of, straight out of jail for California dreaming. As soon as I step on the seat, all that stuff, he's like, yeah. I was like, he didn't own none of that stuff. He just they got him. I mean, he was famous.
Yeah.
He was famous, but he didn't own himself.
I mean, because the thing about it is that when it comes to black people and black creatives, a lot of times we're the masters of creating something monetizable.
Yeah.
But then not owning it.
Yeah. True.
Which is like I always tell people, there's 2 words in music business, but most people know the music and completely throw out the business. And then you see the stories of like those behind the music things, on like the TLC story and then the Tony Braxton stories and all that stuff, and you're like, how could they be so crazy? And it's like,
I read some story. It was something. I think it was. I don't know if it was a documentary or something. I know Nia Long was talking and some other folks, and they were talking about like how you can. She was like, how you can be broke and be on the red carpet. It's like, and just be out here and be, and it's like, but you go home and you like, dang, I don't. I mean, because people don't understand how that business works. Yeah. So let's say, for an example, you're an artist and somehow you get the attention of these labels and they're interested in you and they go, okay, we want to work with you. We want your music. We'll give you $1 million up front. That's the problem. That's the beginning of the problem.
Right.
Because you're like, $1 million sounds like a lot of money.
So you're talking about someone who probably has watched their parents struggle. You're talking about somebody that was probably writing these songs from a lot of pain. They were in a very painful place, probably in a very financially disadvantaged place. Yep. And then here comes somebody that waves his wonderful checkbook at you, and you like, man, all the things I could do with $1 million. Yeah. And in that one stroke of a pen, you just signed $1 million loan. They're not just giving you that money because they like you. You know what I mean? And that you owe us that $1 million. And then every party you go to, and then every studio session you invited all your people to, and all the little videos you shot, and they just run up the tab. And so then now, by the time you put your record out, you could be almost $1.5 million, $2 million in the hole.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And then now you add in the factor of music streaming, where now you know a music stream is like what 0.002 of a cent per play. So add all that up. So it's like at that point, you know, the odds of you recouping that cost is slim to none.
So is that what puts people? I mean, we so far in. We gotta go. We gonna have to dial all this back. They were like, music industry. What does he do?
Yeah.
All these things. We gonna get to that. But I'm just really, I just want to stay in the moment. Is that what pushes people out then, like on tour and things like that, because they think that's a better way to recoup the money faster?
I mean, the only way you really make money in that business is touring, merchandising, licensing.
Gotcha.
You know, like really a smart person in the business knows that you should only sell, you hope to sell enough records to just eliminate that debt.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, but that's why they start getting into like the 360
These 360 deals, right? Because they want, like, I want a piece of all of you now.
Well, because what happened was, because now that you can't sell CDs and vinyl and and cassettes and all that stuff, and now you're having to do a revenue split on a music stream.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we got to make that money up somewhere.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, well, yeah, we'll help you get a clothing deal, but now we want 40% of your merchandising.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we'll get you on tour, but we want 40% of that too. And we'll get you a publishing deal, but we want 40% of that too. And that's a 360.
Yeah.
But it's like, even if you navigate those properly, it can be beneficial. But if you just don't know what you're doing and you just like, oh man, whatever, you know, and then like, that's the thing that made me study the business, because when I was like 19, a friend of mine, he had signed a management deal and had gave away like half his publishing, all this stuff. And so he was like, man, can you come with me to this music lawyer's office to negotiate my way out? And when we got there, while we was in the lobby, I said, man, just let me see what you signed. Because I was curious. I had never really seen a real contract before. Yeah. But even me just reading, I was just looking at it, and I was like, bro, this is...
You're like, I don't need no law degree.
Yeah, like, I don't need no law degree, but I can tell that this is just bad.
Yeah.
Because just the language that I understood was just like, dude, so do you realize you gave away this, and you gave away that, and you gave away this? And then it was so bad that for him to get out of that contract, he had to sign another contract just to get out. Yeah. And so what happened was, in order to get out the contract, he gave up the other 50% of his publishing. So then now he owns none of his publishing. He barely owned the rights to his name, but all these major labels wanted him. Like, it was a bidding war for this dude. And for some reason, nobody would sign him. And so finally A&R sat down with him and was like, look, like, as bad as we want to sign you, we cannot even sign you with good conscience, because everyone will eat but you.
Wow.
And it was at that moment I understood this is a business.
Yeah.
You got to understand this business.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the music business, whether it's the art business, whether it's just your self business, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, you've got, I mean, even for me, I'm a lawyer, but there's it's the legal business. There's a business aspect of, you can be like, I love representing my clients and I love doing things. You'd be homeless, because you have to, you need to understand how to navigate through a system, whether you're in a firm or a corporate environment or wherever you are. There's a protocol. And every place has something where you need to put points on the board.
Yeah, because we're masters at building empires, and also masters at selling them off. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not that many empires that we didn't keep.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, we should have kept those, but it was like the illusion of what that looked like was so short term that they were just like, okay, I don't see the point in holding this. And they just
that's a perfect set. Remember, the drop for today is that we be vibing around is not for sale. So let's peel it back. Let's peel it back, because I need them to know who you are. Like, where did this come from? When did you know? I mean, I literally mean that. Like, when I hear you perform, when I watch you, when I listen to your music, I was like, this dude, golly, that voice. I mean, like, did you come out talking like that? Did you sound like you, like, where does this come from? Like, when did you first know, like, this is what, I don't even know what it, like, this is what I was created for. You know, this is what I want to do with my life.
I mean, for me, it was, I think a lot of people that get into, especially the hip hop part, is because that was our therapy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we didn't go to counseling. We didn't have, all these mentors and mentee relationships. It was just like you process that in your own way.
Yeah.
And if smacking this drum machine as hard as I can helps me get that frustration out, cool. If writing these lyrics and getting all my feelings out is going to help me just deal with this week, cool. You know what I mean? It starts like that, and then you kind of develop this love for it.
Is that where it came from for you? Is that where it started for you?
Yeah.
Were you writing out your pain, if you will? Were you creating out of your pain?
Yeah, because I came from, a family where, like, we didn't have, like, talks. Like, you didn't talk about your feelings. You didn't talk about, well, what was bothering you today? Well, just shut up and get over it. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those kind of environments. It wasn't like, well, how are you feeling? Like, we didn't have the feeling charts and all that stuff. It was just like, just like, what is wrong with you? Stop crying. Wipe your face. Quit crying if I give you something to cry about.
I'm laughing because these modern times, because I grew up, in terms of like, kids be, just all kinds of stuff. But I now with my kids sometimes when they were younger, we'll go around the table. I'll be like, so I'm going to get, I laugh now because they probably had this same face like, I hate this. They're like, give me 3 emotions and that you felt today. And they'll be like, sad, annoyed, frustrated. And then I'll be like, well, and then you have to describe what were you sad about? Like this, having to talk about this, what were you frustrated about? This, but asking feelings. It was just, I didn't grow up, like that. I understand.
Yeah, we didn't get the feeling chart.
Yeah.
We got to shut up. Like whatever it is that you think is bothering you ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
And for me it was because like, I 9 times out of 10 when I went to school, like all through elementary school, middle school, high school, like I didn't go to the school where all my cousins went, or I had all these big brothers and all these big. So it was like, and we moved around so much that I was always the new kid.
Okay.
So
where you from?
I was born here.
Okay.
And then so between in Fort Wayne and then shuffle to San Diego, come back, you had these little spurts, but it was like often just being the new kid. And so they would think that, okay, well, it's because he's new, he's the one to pick on. He ain't got a bunch of family. He ain't got a bunch of people around him. 9 times out of 10, he can walk home by himself. We're going to try this dude. You know what I mean? So you got into that where you were just like, you had to, and your mom don't get off work till late. So whatever happens between here and the house,
yeah,
you just got to handle it, because they know I'm going to call mama. There wasn't no cell phones. Like you just had to, and it just made you, a mentally tough person, and it was funny because like, as I got older, me and my mom would have these conversations and she was like, I just didn't even know.
That you were going through that?
Yeah, she just didn't know.
Are you the only child? You have brothers, sisters?
I'm the only one of my mom's.
Gotcha.
I have a younger brother and younger sister in California, and I had an older brother who was.
But you're not growing up with them at this point. It's just you.
It was just me.
It's you.
You know, and it was just like, so it was every day. Fight on popcorn day, fight on lunch day, fight on the way home from school day, fight for football practice day. It was just like, it just got to a point that it. So then like, and I got these crazy wild uncles that would just be like, yo, like first day of school, you find the biggest one you can find, just lay him out. And that should just set your tone for the year.
Set the tone.
You know what I mean? So
you see it, you're going to get these.
Yeah,
biscuits.
so it was like, you're the new kid at school, and you just grab a lunch tray and bow. And it was just like, and that's how I used to set the year off. And it was like, okay, we good now. But that was the process. And so for me, music was that outlet for me.
So when did you start doing music? Whatever, I mean, if that's even the right phrase, but when, expressing yourself through music.
I mean, I think it started in like middle school, because I used to always get kicked out of class for like making beats.
Probably for that whole bow episode.
I was always a dude in class making beats on the table just for no reason, tapping pencils, goofing around, and then like messing up my grandma's records and messing up her needles, and it was just a progression of just stuff, and like my mom didn't look at music as something that could be a career.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like she was under the impression that like, musicians become junkies and drug addicts and, nutcases, and they live this loose lifestyle and all this crazy stuff. So she was just like totally anti-music. So I had to kind of like learn music in secret.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get that. So so I don't even know if I know this about you. I've known you for a long time. Instruments. What do you play instruments?
Drums, keys.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Golly. Yeah.
It was like
you taught yourself self-taught?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to, because it was like, he was like, Mom, I want a keyboard. Shut up, boy. You don't need no keyboard.
She down there like, you like,
drug addict. Yeah.
You probably sound like, what was it? My favorite movie, one of my favorite movies is Halloween. That first one, remember when Michael Myers behind the couch was like, tink, tink. That's how you would learn it. You were like, tink.
One time,
what is that?
I ain't gonna lie though, the one time she let me like, I like when you in, it's like elementary school and they let you pick an instrument.
Yeah.
And I brought home like a baritone or something crazy, and I'd be in the garage sound like a dead elephant, just she'd be like, take that thing back. Don't you bring that back here. And it was like that. And then like I got to try the oboe for like a week. That was bad. And it was just like, all right, I guess I'll just tap on these desks.
You don't look like an oboe type of dude.
I'm just gonna be the dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the thing. So it was like, and then you have rap battles in the bathroom. People be beatboxing in the hallways and stuff. Like that was kind of like the journey. Yeah. And then after that, it was like, I could do this.
Yeah. So when do you finally realize, or when does it click for you that you're like, okay, this is something I'm going to pursue as a career? Like when is that? I mean, when does that happen for you?
High school.
High school.
Yeah. Like I was crazy enough. Like I was DJing in 21 and up clubs and still going to school in the morning. Like I had no business in anybody's club. Yeah. I was not old enough to be in nobody's club, but I had gotten that much of a reputation and I had gotten that good.
Were you DJ Clips back then?
Kinda.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it was just like, I didn't talk, I just DJ'd. You know what I mean? So really, even if I had a name, nobody knew what it was, because it was like, that dude just be jamming, he don't say nothing. You know what I mean? So like,
he good.
It was like, so, I would just DJ. You know what I mean? And then I started selling like mixtapes in school. You know what I mean? It was just like,
I love it.
It was just the grind. At first it was like slow jam tapes and stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And then it was like, and then I remember I started DJing the club at like 17. Okay. And then I had pretty much been out of the house by then, just out, and it was like do music, sell dope, or go to school. Yeah. And by the time you got done doing the music and getting in the drug game, like you was tired to go to school. You stopped going. So did you
finish?
No.
Okay.
I got my GED because it was funny, because like I had like football and basketball scholarships, but it was just like when you have a choice between hustling to survive, or going to school, and I tried it for a while where it was like you out till like 6 a.m. hustling, and school starts at 7:50, and you just like, dude, I can't stay awake through this. Yeah, it's just impossible. I'm just not gonna go.
So you are. I mean, we just walking through it. I love it. I mean, and this is one of the things that Standing in the Rain is authentic. I don't want nobody on here that just want that's not willing to just be real. I mean, that doesn't help people when you're not authentic. So I love it. So I love your story. So your mom doesn't want you to be in the music business because she thinks it's gonna lead to all these things.
Yeah.
And
she's not having
it. So does your mom know at this point then? Does she know, hey, you out here hustling, that you're doing it, but you're out here hustling now and do all these things? Does she know any of that?
Yeah, because I think it was at one point, like I think she was trying to teach me a life lesson that backfired. It was like, like when parents would be like, well, when you think you're grown, go ahead and get out there. And then it was like, all right, I'm out there. They was expecting you to fail and come back and be like, Mama. And it was just like, wait a minute, would you just pull up in? Yeah. Oh, so you really made this work? Like, yeah. But it was just, but I remember because I used to like buy vinyl and like keep it in the house, and then like my mom would just snap them in half. Okay. So like I would have to stash my records at other people's house.
Wow. She would really?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
because she just, and it wasn't like it was a pure hatred. She just didn't understand.
She didn't understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, as we've had these conversations, like over the last, 7-10 years, she was like, you have to understand it. In our generation, that was not an option.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like, to them, it was like, you graduate, either you go to college, you be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher, or you get a good factory gig, but like music or the arts,
it's a box.
were like for hippies and druggies, and it wasn't nothing that you did as a job.
It's a box, and it's not even something that's a criticism of our parents or whatever, but it's a box. I mean, they don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you're protected, and their vantage point is such, they're like, well, these are the things that will do that.
But you know what helped me though? What helped me was it was like, as I got older, I had to realize that our parents only did based on the limitation that they knew.
Without question.
You see what I'm saying?
Without question.
But it was like that took a lot of bitterness out of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because it was like, my mom was raised by, my grandma, who was like a huge inspiration in my life. Huge. I mean, because she was just a no-nonsense person.
Yeah.
And she went for it. But she was a highly functional alcoholic.
Gotcha.
Like, worked 35 years at the same job, never missed a day, but was probably rock star wasted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if my mom didn't grow up hearing things like "I love you" or affirmations, you know what I mean? So
she can't give it to you,
right?
I mean,
So I can't expect something out of her that she didn't get. But it took me to grow up and understand that like we have to understand that our parents they did whatever they did within the limited space that they knew.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this all the time. I mean, when integral to what I'm trying, what I talk about through Rain, I say all the time, I mean, you can't rise any higher than your level of thinking about you. Mm-hmm. The problem is that if it's not enough of a problem, neither will the people you lead.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I think when I say that, sometimes people think about that in the context of a work environment. Mm-hmm. But as parents, we lead our children.
Yeah.
And so if we see ourselves here, our children coming to us talking about something that you like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you go into, I can't get higher. You can't, unless that thinking explodes and opens up, you then must keep down everybody else around you to make this make sense.
Yeah, but then you add into that too, religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not relationship.
No, religion.
Religion.
Yeah, which is horrible.
Because then at that point, because then you get to a point where you start absorbing all this religion, and it's like now everything that you don't understand is the devil.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, so now you're in this convoluted space of what's real, what's not, and then until I understand it, it'll almost be bad.
It's religion is. I hate religion. I absolutely hate religion. I mean, it's been the cause of so many wars, so much crazy. But I understand. I mean, you're exactly right. All that coming together means that she I again, I just applaud you. I mean, just thank you for coming. Just to talk about that, because at the time that had to be hard. You're young. Oh, yeah. You're a young guy. And you're like my mom, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's why my grandma was like huge, because my grandma was one of those people that like, she wouldn't like give you these wonderful motivational speeches, but she would just be like, then do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now that you're done crying, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hey, and I mean, you can sit here and complain and poke your lip out, but what you gonna do? And if obviously you don't want it that bad. You know what I mean? So then at that point, you got to make a choice. Like, look, either A, I'm going to do it, or I might as well just shut up.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like, I think I wanted it so bad that I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else.
And so it being, you wanted to, quote unquote, make it in the music industry. You wanted to be.
I don't even know if it was about making
saying it right.
I mean, I don't even think we thought in terms of making it. I think we just wanted to just do.
To do music.
I think we just wanted to be appreciated.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't even think we were thinking about like trying to be like super rich and do all this stuff. It was just like just to be appreciated. Like when you first start DJing and you really see that you have the power to influence a whole room full of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can take somebody's day that was totally crap.
Yeah.
And completely turn it around by just playing the right record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was the wow moment for me. Like you have the ability to change somebody's whole demeanor with a record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like or to write a record that people will be like, man, you know what? Like I was really going through it, but that record helped me through this process. Like when you understand music from that perspective, it's deeper than just material.
So I had the privilege of reading an article. I forget the date now, but you did a wonderful piece in Billboard magazine.
Yeah.
It's powerful, and just talking about your experience in the music industry and you know the realities of the music industry in terms of certainly Black artists and what they, you know, that they don't really, they want you, like you said, they want your art. They don't necessarily want you. Not for sale is what we vibing around. Talk about that, because you're in it now. I mean, like you got in it. You know, you get in it. You make it work. You're producing. You want to be seen, like you said. You are sought after. You're putting music out.
Yeah.
You're touring.
Yeah.
You're with major artists. You're a major. Are you doing all these things? What? Talk about that. I mean, that Billboard article was telling to me on so many levels. Y'all should really check it out. I'll make sure that we put it in the thing so y'all can read it. It's powerful. But I want you to unpack it, because, you know, I read it and I was like, wow, you got what LeBron got. Like, can you just please shut up and dribble?
Yeah.
You know, talk about that.
I mean, just because you I think as long as you're willing to accept whatever they feel that you deserve, then you're great. But the minute you walk into these offices and you go, look, nah, I'm not doing that, or I'm not signing that, like, it would be to a point where people took it as an insult that I understood my paperwork.
Where did that come from? And I want to make sure we get, because you know, we were talking about that and we vibed about this before, but you know, every experience, if you extract the lesson from it, I mean, you can use that thing, can be used for your good. I mean, I you know, you spend a lot of time, you know, I'm going to say a lot of time. I mean, you talked about, I was in school, then I was hustling, and I was doing music, I was doing all these things. This idea of a young guy going in and having the audacity to say, like, in essence, I'm not for sale. Yeah. I'm not going to say, where does that comes from? All the things we just talked about, your grandmother, your experiences, all that. How do you get that fortitude in that moment?
I think it came with my grandma.
Yeah.
Cause my grandma just...
Is your grandmother still living?
Nah.
What's her name?
Charlotte.
What was her name? Charlotte?
And I wanted to get her tattooed on me so bad, and she said, if you do, I will haunt you forever. But it was like, but my grandma...
Maybe you could do like, shh,
yeah,
she won't know.
But my grandma was just like...
I love it.
She was 4'11" and just unbreakable.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was just like...
I do.
And
I got a mama like that.
She didn't fight to make herself noticeable, but you knew that she meant what she said what she meant. And even if she never said that she loved you, you knew she did by her actions. You know what I mean? And the one thing that she always would say is that I would rather somebody never say they love me, but treat me like it, than to tell me they love me every day and treat me like dirt. You know what I mean? And so it was like that whole thing with her. And I remember, like one time, like when I was just starting to get like my whole little studio together, like my house got broken into and all my equipment was gone, you know, and like I was just telling her, and she was just like, start over, you know, and she gave me like a check for like $1,000 to like get another computer and all this stuff. And it was just like, and I remember like the first project I finished after that, like I gave it to her. And every time I released something, I gave it to her. And when she died and we got, you know, her belongings and stuff, she had like this box with like every club flyer I was ever on.
Love it. Every
mixtape I ever did. You know what I mean? It was just like in a box. And I just was like,
She saw you.
Yeah, and it was just, even to this day, like whenever things happen, of course I thank God, but then I always like, man, Grandma, like you really looking out.
That's good.
Because she was just that person, but she was just a no nonsense potty mouth midget. You know what I mean? But she was just dope.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate. Yeah. So, I love that. And so, yeah, we got to, how about this? We just dedicate this podcast episode to Charlotte.
Charlotte was a real one.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And you know what was crazy was
Miss Charlotte. My mama I would get a whooping. To Miss Charlotte. I ain't that girl.
like she would do like the funniest stuff. Like, once she retired, like she went to like Egypt and then she went to New Orleans and she went to all these places. Like she just lived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just like,
That's good.
and you just had to admire that in a person. Like she just was like, I don't care what y'all do. I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that carried over into my career where it was like, I mean, if y'all just want to do this is fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go over here.
Yeah.
But that's where, when you talk about the not for sale thing, it was just that as long as you didn't fight for certain things, like if you walk into a label negotiation and you go, well, I want to own my publishing. If they don't laugh at you first, you know what I mean? Like, or one thing you learn is that if you fight for one thing, then prepare to lose in another.
Sure.
So if you want to negotiate for more publishing, then they're going to probably extend the length of your contract or more albums. Or, if you want, this bigger advance, they're going to want to cut of your merch. You know what I mean? Like it's a give and take type of thing. But when you walk in to these rooms, 9 times out of 10, you're being told by people who don't even understand your culture, what you should do and how much it's worth. And we're doing you a favor. And it's kind of that and that's where the whole shut up and play ball mentality kind of came in. Cause it was like, this is not good.
Yeah, you talked about that, and and I think that there's oftentimes what happens when in these episodes is that there's a drop underneath the drop, and I think that you just kind of hit on one because not for sale, but there's something that there's an attitude or a flow that goes that undergirds that. I mean, the way I see it, when you walk in those rooms, and I say this a lot, you have to believe that you belong in every room that you enter, because if you go in the room thinking that they're doing you a favor.
Mm-hmm. But you also got to be prepared for the punishment.
True. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I mean?
No. It's not for the fear. You're exactly right.
Because I remember I said that in the op-ed. It's like, then you start getting this reputation as being labeled difficult.
And that's what I want to talk about. Yeah.
Hard to work with. And it's not that I was hard to work with. I just wasn't willing to sign my life away.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? But it was almost like this, how dare you question us mentality.
Yeah.
We're like, who are you to say that this isn't fair? Who are you to say this is not a standard agreement? Who are you to say that this is not acceptable?
Right.
And for you to voice it, because you got to think that everything I did was without a manager, without a booking agent, without a lawyer. It was just me versus them in almost all these situations. And they're just like,
who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
We want to talk to somebody else, not you.
Yeah.
And then if it was a business related matter, those emails were direct, and then they take it personal because then they, you know what I mean? Because now it's like, you kind of wish sometimes that you had that buffer person in the middle.
I get that. I mean, you're right. I mean, then having those people around you to advance those sorts of things. I mean, I can appreciate the help that would provide. But I think, when you said like you got to be prepared for the punishment, I offer this. I without question. I mean, whether we're talking about in your in the context of the music industry or quite frankly, anything that you're doing, when you sit here and say, I'm not for sale, however that gets articulated, there's another side to it. Mm-hmm. But I dare say, I offer, and you can agree with me, disagree with me, that's cool. But I offer that the punishment in that moment for that, whether it be like, well, like what we talked about in the article, and I want to get back to what you talked about in the article, I want to get back to that, is far less than the harm, the hurt, the punishment, if you will, if you acquiesce, if you simply capitulate, if you simply do what they want to do.
I just think a lot of people don't understand that it's worth it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some people are so busy they're willing to fold for this, not knowing that if you can endure the punishment, you can accomplish that.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
dark part. Like, but a lot of people don't hear how that they're not prepared to deal with that because no one's told them, like, look, you're going to, everybody gets the sunshine and rainbow speech, but nobody, like, you don't see you always hear the rags to riches, but nobody talks about the dark part in the middle. Yeah, no one does.
That's so for in this instance, in this context, that's what you talked about in the article where people were like not signing you, not picking you up, not fooling with you.
Nah.
Yeah. How long did that go on?
About 5 years.
Oh. So up until that point, though, it helped me understand the journey in terms of what it looked like. You reach a certain part where you are incredibly sought after, incredibly valuable, and then you hit this wall of sorts like, well, what is happening? If I'm all this?
Oh, I knew when it happened.
Oh, you did?
I knew.
Okay, what you do?
I just knew when it happened.
You hit nobody over here.
I just knew when it happened because it was just like, I knew the exact meeting, the exact moment, the exact person where it was like, yeah, okay. You really think that all right, watch this. And it's like overnight, just radio silence. Wow. You know what I mean? But luckily for me, I had enough just respectable relationships with people. Like I never was the one to put all my eggs into one basket. Like I never, because I was always surrounded by people in the business who were like, never bet on the label. Work with the label, but don't put all of your faith in the label. Don't leave all the promotion up to the label. Don't leave all your chips on the table. And even if you're doing this, still have these other things active. Which
is a life lesson regardless of the industry.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so it was just like, never believe that somebody's going to believe in you more than you.
Yeah.
That
deserves that. Say that again. That deserves some. I'm gonna do it again. I gotta do it. That's there you go.
I mean, because it's just a thing where it's like if I have to convince you, like if I want this more than you do, you don't want it that bad.
You don't want it that bad.
You know what I mean? And it's like if the only reason why you're doing this is because it's working, you don't even want it. You know what I mean? Like you have to, and that's why you see a lot of, I think it's why you see a lot of people in a lot of industries now just flaming out so fast because they weren't doing it because it's really in their heart to do. It was because it was working. Yeah. It was like, oh, I just did the right, marketing campaign at the right time and it just took off and boom. And then all of a sudden it just went dark. And you're like, what happened to so-and-so? He ain't want it that bad. Yeah. Versus like, rest in peace to DMX. You know what I mean? It was like no matter what period you saw DMX through, it just came out of him. Yep. He couldn't help it. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. People like that you just can't extinguish. And it's especially when you come from certain environments and you really learn that like the most you can do to me is not answer my phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah, like the worst you're gonna do is not reply to my email. Yeah. All right.
And if you don't know how valuable you are, that, quite frankly, could be devastating.
Well, not only that, but if I fear God, I don't fear you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had to tell people that. I said this in an interview like a couple months ago, and I was like, you have to understand that whatever it is meant for me to do is not up to you.
It's not up to you. You
know what I'm saying?
You don't get a vote.
If God says, this is gonna happen for him. Yeah. What you think or how you feel or what you try to stick in the way is not going to change that. It's not. Yeah. And you can try. It may even take a little longer, but it's still gonna happen. Yeah. And that's what I think started to mystify people in the industry. They was like, how does this dude just keep resurfacing out of these little It was like a game of whack-a-mole.
Kevin,
It was just like fuck up, and he pops up over here, and it's like fuck up, and then pops up over there, and it was just like, you know, and it's like, okay, we'll squash his music career. And he takes off with the photographer. How the hell is he? You know what I mean? It's like, what? Give me 2 mallets. You know, it's just like, no, like this is not up to you.
It's not up to you. I love it.
And the funny part about it was that a lot of the things that they tried to keep me quiet about was the very thing now that everybody's putting out these statements for.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, because my thing was about, you know, showing more respect for black artists.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to talk about that.
Giving black artists their masters back. Having more black executives at the table for these discussions and all this other stuff. And they were just like, and it was like agencies and stuff that be like, we don't want to deal with you because you talk about that. And then
what year is this? I mean, you have to say, what year are we talking about? Like when you're saying this to these labels in these meetings, what time frame are we in?
Shoot, this was almost like 2012 through 2020. Like this was just a relentless, like I would say, like all through 2020, I would say in my videos, I'd be like, yo, go back as far many calendars as you like. I ain't just start saying this.
Yeah.
This was being said during Ferguson. This was being said during Sandra Bland. This was being said during this. This was, you know what I mean? Like, and they were like, shh, just make music. If you just made music and stop trying to stick up for your people, you would have been rich by now. But the fact that you can't shut up is why we're going to just keep you right here.
Yeah. Well, try to keep you right there.
They're going to try
to keep you right here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, the George Floyd thing happened and the protests started happening, and then all they started to issue all these statements on Black Tuesday, and I'm going, so you mean to tell me the very thing that you told me not to say is now the thing that you're saying? Where you got that from? Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was refreshing for me, because then that's when you know that dark period wasn't for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it also affirms, like you said, if it's for you, if God has it for you, there's just nothing they're going to be able to do about it. And just how, I mean, I think about what's come out of that after that period of darkness. I'm like, golly, it seems like you were, because I know it's true, like handcrafted, like specifically molded for the times that we're in right now. And you know what I mean? And it's just God's cool like that. I just love it. Yeah.
But it was rough. I mean, like, I remember there was a point of like 6 months I did not want to drive a car.
Out of fear?
Because every time I drove, like I would look for poles to run into. Do you know what I mean? Like it was that bad, where it was like you would just be driving anywhere, like to the store or something, and just like every pole just looked like a potential way to just, you know what I mean? And it was like, yo, like if I just, you know, or maybe this tree, or maybe, you know what I mean? And so I was just like, you know what, I just ain't gonna drive, because like, even though I never wanted to end my life, it was just a thought, because it was like to know that no matter what you were doing, even if it was 100% right, you're being treated 100% wrong. You know what I mean? And you don't have a valid explanation for it. Like it's hard.
So I don't want to walk away. I don't want to move away from that. I want to stay in that for a moment, because there's somebody out there that feels like you felt, and regardless of the context, they feel like you felt, and they are trying to figure out, you know, like, I hear you, not for sale, and I did that, or I whatever, and I'm in that dark place. Talk to them. I mean, how do you move past that?
I mean, and that was the hard part, because you would have like people that genuinely cared about me. They were like, dude, so the only reason why you're not here is because you just won't stop addressing this issue. Like, dude, why don't you just shut up, get on, like all the way on, and then talk about it? I'm like, but if I do that, then it's not authentic. You know what I mean? Like at that point, then it's not real. So why would I do that? Because then you're not really working with me because of me. You're working with me because the shut up version of me is appealable to you. No, I can't.
I sold you a version of me.
Right.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So, but the thing that gets you through it is you just have to remember that, like, if this benefits down the line, like if this saves the next Clips 25 years from now, it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, if our kids don't have to protest about racism 30, 40 years from now,
Yeah.
it was worth it.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you kind of got to diminish the self-interest and look at the long ball. Yeah. That's the part.
So what's your, what would you say is your, we've talked about this a little bit. What's your true north, or what's your why? What's that thing for you?
Generational wealth and the ability to put other people in great positions to do great things. You know, because that was the hardest part for us. Like, we didn't know what true north was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no like, think about, like, a lot of us learned everything wrong about relationships. We learned everything wrong about financial management. We learned everything wrong about the business level. Everything we learned was by just constantly bonking your head up against walls.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can create a space or a platform to teach the next person, like, look, I can save you 25 years of unnecessary nonsense. That, to me, that's my true north. You know what I mean? Like, that is what I care about, because it's like, had I had that, it could have just saved so much, but then I don't regret it. Like, you get to a point where when you start to look back at everything you went through, and then you kind of go, you know
Necessary. Yeah, it was necessary.
Those lumps was, you know.
That I hear that Fantasia rendition. It was necessary. I mean, I even think about now, like, I mean, all the things, you know, I spent so many years not knowing that I was enough. I never thought I was enough. I was always grounded in the stuff. I mean, not stuff I acquired. I'm talking about, like, you know, my worth and value came from a degree, or someone told me I was good, or someone told me I was smart. The problem with that is when they stop telling you that, you got nowhere to go. And so I think about all that now, and I look back and I'm like, golly, what's wrong with you? Why you spend all that time? But I have to thank God for it, because all of that informs how I show up now.
See, and then on the flip side, you know what I mean, when you don't have a degree and you don't have this formal training, and all you know is what you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to find some kind of space where you can finally be content with yourself, because before other people are knocking you, you're knocking yourself. You know, and to finally get in that belief system that goes, okay, you know what? I do deserve to still be able to accomplish things regardless of whatever I did or didn't have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, at bottom, whether, you know, regardless of whether it's the situation, like you said, where you have all that stuff or you have none of it, you still got to settle that you're worth it. You still got to settle that you're enough. You still got to settle, you know, my phrasing, that you're royalty, all those things, overcome, dominate, that you can do those things when it gets really, really hard.
And especially when you come from a market that's not known for greatness. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being on tours and they'd be like, man, where you come from? Like, Fort Wayne.
They hating on the 260.
And they'd be like, where the heck is that? It's like, oh, Indiana.
Nobody ever knows.
How'd they find you?
You
know what I mean?
Nobody ever knows.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, how'd they find you? Like, in the little boondocks. Like, nah, man. But like but that's the thing, that like, that's what makes Fort Wayne so dope. Like, Fort Wayne has probably one of the craziest talent pools in the country in everything, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's, you know, business acumen, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, like, our talent pool is ridiculous. It's just that sometimes we don't know it.
Yeah. So you're trying to change that. And so, you know, you know, because you hinted on it, and I want to really bring this forward. I mean, you are a seasoned and accomplished music artist. Dropped your last album in 2020. Mm-hmm. I love it. We heard one song. What did I say? I wrote it down so I make sure I forget it. Vintage Future 2. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. I loved it.
I held on to that album for like a year because I didn't want to put out music during the pandemic. I didn't want to do it. Like, I just was like, and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Why deny people something that may be helpful.
Oh, it's good.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just like, here you go.
It'll give you crawl space. It'll give you crawl space.
yeah.
That's all I watched. Yeah. I'm so. I mean, it's just you should be so proud of you. Just such good work. But then, right? So you put out an album.
I know where this is going.
Right? You put out an album and you know all that, and then you show up being the one of the most sought after and critical voices of our time through your photography. Talk about that. I mean, your eye is magnificent, and what you capture, is just I just talk about where that comes from, and it seems like one could argue potentially. I think maybe I don't know. I don't, but that this is such a divergence from the music industry. I don't think so. I think to me that's all your artistry coming out.
It's kind of the same, but it's not.
Yeah.
But the thing that I loved about photography was it's not determined by other people.
Yeah.
Like
not for sale.
Like photography is the one thing that you don't have to, even if no one else likes it, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing that really got to me was when I needed another outlet that wasn't music, because like when you do music and then it becomes your job, it's no longer like your release anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I needed something else that wasn't music to really kind of get off into, and so I got into photography, and then I remember looking up the works of Gordon Parks, because I just like Google one day like famous black photographers, and Gordon Parks came up, and the thing that was dope was he taught himself. Like he bought his first camera for $15 out of a thrift shop. You know what I mean? And he went from he bought his first camera in a thrift shop and just taught himself, and went from that to directing classic black movies. Yeah. To shooting Life magazine and fashion in France. Like I mean, he did the thing, but it was like, this is a self-taught dude who bought his camera at a thrift store. And like when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so I don't have to go and get this fine art degree. I don't gotta do all this stuff. It was like, just go out and shoot and shoot and shoot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like by the time the protest happened, I think I'd already shot like 25,000 photos. Yeah. So you Black Media. Yeah. Right. So you're doing this amazing work, and then this, George Floyd is murdered on May 25th, and the world absolutely erupts, as it should have, and it erupts everywhere, not just in the place where the atrocity happens, but it erupts here. Even in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and there are protests and we're sitting downtown now, and protests everywhere downtown, and you're right in the middle of that, capturing all of that. What told you? What made you realize, like, I need to be down there? I need to be in this. I need to capture this. What was that? I mean, I was going to protest regardless. Yeah. But I brought my camera with me because I knew that a lot of times these narratives get twisted. Where it doesn't become. People stop talking about the why people are there. They talk about what people are doing, why they're there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like all of a sudden it's like, let a window get broken. All of a sudden, they're thugs and they're looting and they're rioting, and it's like that certainly was the narrative, right? Yeah. I mean, they're down here. These black folks are down here. These people are down here. These people are down here destroying our property. Yeah. And you never get to the root of the problem because the narrative's completely switched. So I was like, from my perspective, I wanted to show the more human side. Like everybody that's down here is a human being who feels passionately about something, and they're hurting and they're frustrated. I'm going to document that. And I remember people were like, well, where's the pictures of the broken windows? And I was like, I'm sure there's other places you can go to see that. Yeah. This ain't that. You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to stick to the subject here. And in essence, you're like, I don't work for you. Yeah, I'm not with any organization. I'm here with me. I don't need to, but it was just, to me, it was important just because, like, these are people. Like, people. And anyone who watched that video and didn't feel some kind of way, because I didn't want to watch it, and then when I finally watched it, like it just stuck in my stomach for like hours.
I heard Dave Chappelle say recently because he did that 8-minute and 46-second special, and he was talking. I love Dave Chappelle's one of my absolute favorites. He's the GOAT. Oh my gosh, he's so brilliant. He's just shout out to Dave Chappelle. We're gonna meet one day. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do this. Yeah,
I want to talk to Samson.
It's gonna be awesome. But he said recently he was talking. I think he was on a podcast with Naomi Campbell, he said when she asked him about that 8-minute and 46-second special. He goes, it wasn't comedy. Because I watched it. I mean, he's like, it was brilliant, but he's like, it wasn't comedy. He's like, but I felt like it was the tax. It was the price I needed to pay to be able to continue to do comedy, because there was no way I could proceed forward and not acknowledge that happened.
Yeah, not only that, but it's like when anytime I think that too many of our stories are not being told by us. And that was the other thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's, a documentary or, the stuff that Dave Chappelle's doing, or whether it's photography or whatever. And it's like, we keep waiting for other people to tell our stories and then hope that they tell it accurate. Yeah. Why not tell it ourselves?
Why not tell it ourselves?
You know what I mean? And it's like, how I'm looking at these people out here protesting is going to be totally different from you, because you're just out here just looking to grab a photo. Well, I'm looking at this like these are people that I understand.
I don't even think they see people a lot. I mean, they don't see people. They see, like you said, they see animals, savages, like you said, thugs, something else less than. Mm-hmm. The dehumanization is real, and they don't see it, and so that's why they're able to focus more on. You didn't get a picture of that window. That window is absolutely. I'm not disrespecting the stuff, but the window is absolutely irrelevant in this moment. Yeah. And you have to understand that, but you don't if you don't think these are human beings who are hurting.
But I said this last week on a post, and was just like, you have to understand that white people know that the Constitution was written for them. We got amended into it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah. How they perceive, property, and how they perceive things of value, and how they perceive, rights and justice is completely different than our perspective.
Sure.
Like you expect these things to work itself out. We keep hoping they work out. Hoping. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole different dynamic, which is why they're like, well, I don't understand why someone would resist. Okay, you've never been in a position where you may not make it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, so the whole perceptive field is different. So when you finally see someone go out and protest, you're not seeing them as finally going, yo, we are tired of not being understood. They're looking at it like, you're in the way.
Yeah. That's good.
You see what I'm saying?
No, exactly what you're saying.
And so so for me as a photographer, like, I think the whole theme of what I do is based on emotion, because you can't take that emotion away. If you can look at that person, that eye, in that emotional state and still not feel nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's the challenge. Like, look at that person in the eyeballs and see it for what it is.
That's what I think I love most about your work, is that you capture a level of emotion that's just, so for everybody out there, now I'm going to make sure that Clips' information is all in the information for the, connected to the podcast of this episode, so that you can find him. He just did a beautiful, he had an exhibit called Voices. It was absolutely.
And thank you for supporting that too.
My gosh, man, come on.
I was like, yo.
See, this stuff. I was like, this is the great. I was like, yes. I was so excited. I was like, yes, because I long for it too, man. I long to see us in these spaces. Growing up in these rooms, sitting around these big tables with you being the only one or one of a few, that weighs on you in ways that are hard to articulate. I love we're we're gonna get all the information. But he was in. He had an exhibit called Voices, and there's a book, and there's all sorts of things I want you to talk about it. But the exhibit I want for y'all, like I walked into the art gallery. First of all, it's right downtown in this beautiful, beautiful space, and I walk in, and Clips is standing there, and I was like, "You better do this." And I go in, and I'm looking around because I wanted to get a piece, and I'm just wanted to experience it all. And it brings you to tears because you walk through, and like there was one I told you one of my favorites. I bought the one I got. I love. Yeah. I love them all, but there's this one, and you had these whole row on the back wall of real close-ups of their faces, and you can see even the sweat on their in the pores in their skin, and their eyes look like people have been crying. People who've been hit with the rubber bullets. You got hit, didn't you?
Yeah, 4 of them.
Daggone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still keep them. I keep them in my camera bag. Like I don't. Where my camera is, they are. And
I need to say this to you for as public as this will be wherever it goes, and like I said, same sort of thing. You know, if God has His way, it's just bananas. I need to say thank you to you as a person growing up here in this community, as a Black person in this community. I need to say thank you to you for your courage. I need to say thank you to you for your boldness. I need to say thank you to you for not being for sale and modeling that for us. I say all the time that, you know, everybody, you need, the reason why I encourage people, I push people to reign is because we're somebody's possible. I promise you that you were the possible for so many people and still are by showing up and willing to capture us as human. That mattered.
I appreciate it.
No, that was.
That was what made the gallery so dope. Like
awesome.
I wanted it downtown.
Yeah. Specifically,
and they were like, "Why do you want it downtown?" I was like, "Because this is where we're usually not."
Yeah, y'all downtown.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, when are we downtown to go to court?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It was like, no, like, and I remember people was like, "Man, you just need to put a gallery out. You just need to do it." And I was like, "No, it's got to be downtown. It has to be." And so when the opportunity presented itself, like, you know, shout out to ArtLink for that. But it was like, it had to happen downtown. And it was powerful. Like, and I think that's what helped it. Like, to know that these photos were taken a block and a half away from where this gallery exhibit is made it more real because you passed these things on the way to it. And I remember people saying like when they walked in and saw the photos, like they were just having these like recalls of almost like PTSD because it was like, I remember that. Like, I remember when this happened. I remember when that happened. I remember when he was standing right there. And it was just like that. But then, too, it was to see, you know, non-Black people come in.
Yes. That was powerful, too.
And some of the conversations that I was able to have with people that were just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and like just, and because I tried to be there as many days as I could just to engage with people. Like I treated the art gallery exhibit like a record release.
Yes,
it was. What I mean, like I wanted to be around the people, talk to people. Like, I didn't want to just be like, where's my art? And I am, you know, untouchable.
Yeah, you big timed us when we were there. I mean, he was there. He's like, yeah, fam. And then people were like, are you the artist? He was like, bye. Yes, I am. Yeah, I am the artist. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because awesome. even like I remember like people would come in and like I would just be sitting there, or I would just go, hey, you know, if you have any questions, you know, or if you just want to discuss a piece, you know, not about buying it, but just like if there's any questions you want to know pertaining, like, why did I take this photo or whatever it is, like, I just want to be here for you to be able to ask those questions. And they go, wait a minute, so you're the one that shot these? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and you're here? Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was just like, in the art world, that wasn't, at least around here, that wasn't a normal thing. They were like, usually people put their exhibits up and they leave, and they come back when it's over and they take it down. They were like, this is not.
I loved it.
Normal, but to me it was the most rewarding thing because it really, it really confirmed that this needs to be a continual work. Like it fuels you to do more. Because when you like the one that, like, to see somebody look at your photo and then walk to a window and cry. You know what I mean? They don't know you from a can of paint. You don't know them, but to be able to get to pull on somebody's emotions to that point is like, that's your confirmation that okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to
in
be
position.
doing. Right.
I'm in position. But Will Smith made this comment a long time ago. And I stole it from him too. I steal a lot of stuff. But he made this comment that he's like, when I, because he got beat up, and I and that's fine. But he got beat up for like things like After Earth and all these things and all these different things, the kind of stuff. And they're like, why don't you can you just do this again? All that stuff like that. And he made this comment. He's like, you know what? He's like, I want every time someone encounters my excellence, that they are elevated. And I phrase it my own way, but that's exactly what I want to do. I want, whether it's through the podcast or whether I'm speaking on stage or whatever I'm doing, I want people when they leave to be like, I don't care. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know, but I'm better
because
people
people want you to be in a position of predictable excellence.
Explain that. Say that again. Yeah, say that again. Explain that. Break that down.
Predictable excellence is, now that I've seen you excellent in this thing, stay there.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you're a great attorney.
Stay there.
Stay there.
Yeah.
Don't start doing speaking engagements and don't do podcasts and don't do these things because we can't dictate where that's going to go.
That's
you
good.
see what I'm saying? And that's why, like, I remember when I started, putting my photography out there, and they were like, well, why are you a photographer still using your DJ name? And I was like, so what, am I supposed to come up with a whole new alias so that way you can feel more comfortable with my photos? No. There was these moments, like, and they're like, so you want to be credited as DJ E-Clyps? Yes.
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 Yeah.
But that's not normal. But it is.
It is normal.
Do you know what I mean? I was
Queen
like,
Latifah?
Yeah, I was like, do
J?
you know who directed Friday? And they're like, who? I was like, DJ Pooh. Do you know? Like, do you know who? Do you know that D Nice is also a photographer who's a DJ? You know what I mean? Like, do you know that Heather Hunter is a photographer? Like, why do we always feel like everything we do deserves a different name? Why are we afraid to be one person who is capable of doing multiple things?
Yeah.
And that's still that person.
Yeah. I love it.
Instead of going like, well, this is, and it is worse in the music industry because like then people would think that they come up with these aliases. Like, oh, I do this music under this name and this music under that name. And then if I want to do some experimental, I got to change my name to this. And it's like, no, I do. Like Stevie Wonder went from Ribbon in the Sky to Boogie on Reggae Woman and all this other stuff, and he was still Stevie. Like, why am I going to be somebody else to make you feel more acceptable? Like, if the reason why you don't like my work is because of my name. So
someone really wanted you to consider shifting your name for the photography, for the art.
Yeah, because like I would do, they would interview me about the photos, and they go, so how does that work? And I'm like, how does what work? And they're like, so you're a DJ? Yeah. And you do photography? Yeah. And you do your photography under your DJ name? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, don't you think that's a little bit misleading? And I'm like, how? Still me. You know what I mean? Like,
still me.
It's still me at the end of the day. And I'm like, to keep everything cohesive, because now if I have to have all these different identities, now I have an identity crisis. Yeah. Because now I have to market this way, and then I have to market this that way, and then I got to have, all these different. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. And
you're shape shifting for somebody else's version of you.
And
at the end of the day,
and it's like whether you approve of it or not, it's still me.
It's still me. Yeah.
And that's what I mean by like, predictable excellence. It's like, once we feel like we've defined who you are, how dare you modify that?
Yeah. I've gotten comfortable with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like, messing with me.
I liked you when you were that person. Like this whole new thing you're doing.
Yeah.
But then it works. And then they go,
Clips, you're great.
Yeah. It's like, we should do lunch. And you're like,
Yeah. So what's next for you? I can talk to you forever. What's next for you? I mean, because you're not, I don't, to this end, it's a perfect segue. We're just scratching the surface. What's next for you?
To keep shooting. Just because, like, it's gotten to a point now where like I'm so focused on photography that I almost have to remember to do music. You know what I mean? Like, it's because it's just like, it's like, and I remember reading at a point that people go through these points of evolution in their life. You know, you have these, you know, time periods where you just keep maneuvering and evolving. And it's like, I'm not abandoning music, but music is no longer the forefront, you know, just because it like, I think it's based on what's needed. And like right now, I think that, you know, this is needed, you know, to humanize people is needed, to document Black stories and Black history and Black people and, you know, all people of color, just people, period, too, is needed, because people that we've been isolated from each other for so long. Yeah. You know, to now almost have to remember with emotion and contact and things was like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that change? And not only that, but, you know, you have one group of people that believe that there really isn't a problem, and the other half of people that know that there's a problem, and then there's that gaping hole in the middle, and it's just like, you know, this conversation clearly isn't over. Yeah. You know, I mean, think about it. While we were waiting on the George Floyd, I mean, not the George Floyd trial, but the Derek Chauvin trial. Yeah. You know, what, two more people died during the trial. Yeah. It's like, so this whole, you know, like this conversation is still ongoing. This solves something. You know, and so it's like, but that is too, you know, requires for it to be handled properly, you know. And for me, it's like, when you think about Black history, it should be documented by Black people. I love it. So that way you're not left to the interpretation of how someone else perceived it. You see it for what it is. I love it. So I love it. I love it. You should be so, I'm so proud to know you. It's so cool. So tell me, do you have any more? Did you sell out of your exhibit? I got a few stashed. I had a couple in the stash, but okay. I mean, I didn't, you know, that was the hardest part for me to do. Sell it? Yeah. Yeah. Like, just because it was just I get like, that. Like, I was just like, why do you, you know, like, I just didn't even think in that mode, which is why I did the book. I did the book because I was like, you know, here's a way for it to be, I didn't even look at it as like to make money. I looked at it like a business card. Like, the more I can put, the more hands I can get this work into, the more people I can reach. Do you have any more books? They're in Barnes and Noble. Okay. So it's funny, like, to the point now that when they get books, they call me, because I go and I sign them all. Awesome. Well, I want to make sure that one of my rain dancers gets if you'll do them an honor, get a signed copy of your Voices book on me, for vibing with me on Standing in the Rain and joining me. So just, what's your favorite number? 2. All right. The second person, hey, look at that. You got to time it like when you're waiting on Prince tickets. You know, The second person, I know. I tried to do that once. I tried to get tickets for my husband. I was like, am I the third person? They're like, no. I was like, so anyway, the second person to comment, after watching this episode with, how about this? Because what's the, not for sale, #rain. You're gonna get I need you to start making hashtags for me. Like, you come with these hashtags like effortlessly. You be like, you know what, today. I was like, how did she do that? Me, I'm the dude that's up at like 3 a.m. going, what should I call it? What should I do? Just text me. Like the algorithm. Yeah, this is like, I mean, like, in social media is just, you know, like, I struggle with social media. Well, I get that, but see, for me, it comes out differently. And seriously, because like for me, words are my love language. Yeah. And so I live in them, sometimes to a fault, but they're my love language. And so I try to, I think about, and I'm like, hey, this would be cool if I
do this, play on the edges, whatever. But either way, the second person to hit me up and say, you know, not for sale, #Rain, gets a beautifully, it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful book. Autographed copy is the title. It's voices as well, right? Yeah. It's a beautiful book. And so just I'm excited for you to have it. I hope that all of you watching get, how do they find you? Tell them how to find you.
blacklightmediafw.com, DJ E-Clyps.com. And then like all my social handles are DJ E-Clyps. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I never use it.
Like, you just get your stuff in.
I can't. I don't like I just learned to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And for me, like Instagram has been my lane because I can post a photo, I can explain how I felt about it, and I'm done. Like I don't have to do anything, you know, like I've even tried to like get into the Clubhouse space, and even that's a weird space.
That's a weird space for me. But follow him wherever you find him. Follow him, buy his art, just make him sold out. Just all of it. Just follow him. I'm so honored that you were here. There's no way we can unpack all of this. I just wanted to spend some time vibing with you. I mean,
we can always just, you know.
We got to go home sometime. We're going to get kicked out. At some point, the light's going to go off.
Yeah, my mama going.
Yeah, the light. Yeah.
My mama made lasagna this week.
Yeah. At some point, but I'm honored. And I promise you, you will. You're so modest, but you're so daggone dope, and I appreciate it.
But you even have to like, but you're dope.
I appreciate that.
No, I mean because the one thing that like I said earlier is just like your level of just authenticity and your ability of, no matter what you've accomplished, like you're still just as approachable. Like you've never grown to a point where it's like, oh, don't say nothing to Dawn, man, because she, like,
I never will.
Yeah,
I never will. I know. I never will. I appreciate that. Keep shooting.
I shall.
Keep shooting. Yes.
One day I'm gonna shoot Dawn.
I know.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hot for Charlotte. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, love you. Gotta dance it out. Gotta dance it out.
Gotta dance it out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Kate, you gotta turn it up.
I can't sing, so I'm gonna fake it.
Love it.